dependencies which I will be showing you people on the screen, and then I want you people to create the files and folders just the way that I have created. So here are the directories as well as the dependencies that you have to install the same way that I have done over here. I'm giving you the time till 8:05. After then, we will proceed with our code. So do these things fast. Can anybody tell me what was the very first command that I have told you people in order to write inside the terminal whenever you create a backend?
npm init.
Great. Do that thing. Are there any doubts? Is anybody asking something? Okay. So after writing the npm inity, which file you will receive?
JSON file.
Okay.
JSON.
We just
So at
received
8:05, we will
packet.json.
start our coding.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Earlier in models folder, we had another file, no? So all these should be created in a different folder.
Can you please repeat your query, dear? Hannah, are you there? Can you please repeat your query?
Earlier, hello. Earlier in models folder, we had another product model.js file, but now it's another file, no? So we have to create the entire folder again, like another folder.
Yeah, Hannah, because in the previous lecture, we learned how to perform the CRUD operations, right? But in this lecture, you have to create entire new folder because in this lecture, we learn about the JWT authentication. So it would be better if you place
Okay.
two different folders for different purposes.
Okay.
Or else you can create another file with the name user model.js inside the models folder. But here you have to create the controllers and routers folders as well.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I hope you people might have completed your assigned work that I have provided you people a few minutes back. So here, the reason behind us installing these dependencies, the first dependency I will explain is the .env. We have installed this dependency in order to use our environment variables. And you will ask me, ma'am, what is the environment variables? So the environment variables are those variables which we as the developers are using in order to connect, our backend with the our Node.js with the MongoDB, which means we will place our Mongo URI inside this .env file, which means all the confidential data that we do not want the user to see inside our code, like the user will not be able to see our code instead. So if anyone gets to know about our confidential data, so we do not want that. So for that purpose, we are going to store the entire confidential data inside this .env file. Now, one of you may ask that, ma'am, why aren't we directly mentioning our confidential data inside our code? So whenever we will push our entire project inside the GitHub, over there, they will not allow us. Why? Because our code will be having some kind of confidential data, which is why what we do, we put the entire confidential data inside this .env file, and inside the git ignore file, we write the name of this .env. Due to which, whenever we upload our project inside the GitHub, over there, the GitHub ignores all the files which are present inside its git ignore. Understood?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So at first, let's move to the config.js. So here I will write import .env from the .env dependency. So which type of importing method is this?
Yes,
Module method.
It's a module method. So for that purpose, we have to go to our package.json, and here inside type, we have to write module instead of common.js, and we have to save it. Let's go back to the config.js, and after importing this, there's a function called .config, which we have to use whenever we are using some kind of confidential data which is present inside the .env file. And then we will export the different type of data that is present inside the .env file. So the first data is going to be my port number here, and we have to provide process.env.port in order to use the confidential data. So these things are really very important. First one is importing the .env module. The second one is using the config function. The third one is mentioning the particular variable, that is port, with the help of process.env.port. And similarly, we are also going to export another confidential data, that is our Mongo URI. Is equal to process.env.mongo URI. After this, the last thing that I will mention over here is const JWT secret. And I will tell you while we write the code, why do we use this JWT secret. So here I will write the same thing, that is process.env.jwt secret. And I will save this. So in order to access all these data must be present inside our .env file. So here I will mention my port number as 8888. And then my Mongo URI is equal to this. And then what else was there? The JWT secret, isn't it? Is equal to, it can be anything like random hashtag secret. Before that, I can also place @ or here I can write 12, and then after here I will place another hashtag and then keep. This is my secret. Now I will save this. Now moving on to the models. So here inside the model, I have placed a user module.js. So here first tell me which module shall I import?
Mongoose.
Like which dependency?
Mongoose.
Import mongoose from mongoose. After importing this, what should I do? How to create a schema?
First, we have to create a variable name. Then we have to uh,
User
use
model
mongoose
uses schema.
object mongoose dot schema.
All right, you can stop saying that. So in order to create a schema, we usually use the schema method of mongoose dependency. After that, inside the schema, we mention our field. So for the fields, I will provide the username, which is going to be a string. T should be lower. After the username, I will provide the password. And the password is also going to be the string. After the string, I will provide the role. Here we will also learn about the role-based access. I guess I have explained to people about the role-based access in the previous class.
Yes, ma'am.
And here I will provide another attribute, that is enum. By providing this attribute, I will enable the user of my website to provide only a couple of values for this role. That is, the value can be either user or the value can be admin. Other than this, the user cannot provide any other role inside this role variable. Understood?
Well,
And if the user does not provide any kind of role, then it will take the default role as user. So I have successfully created my schema. After that, what do I need to do?
export, ma'am. Create a model.
Okay. And we will export this by using the model function of the mongoose library. Dot model. Here I will write user from a user schema. And I will save this file. After creating this model, we will come directly to our auth controller.js. And what did I tell? Where does the business logic lie?
Controller.
Yeah, inside the controller only the business logic lies. So while telling you people about the MVC architecture, I mentioned that the entire logic of all the features that we provide inside our website lies inside this controllers folder. So here, this auth controller file will contain the logic behind the authentication. So in order to provide the particular authentication, we need to import JWT from JSON Web Token. We will also import bcrypt from bcrypt.js. And here I will import the JWT secret from the config folder. After that, I will import, should be in lowercase, user from the models folder. These are the things that we need while authenticating a user. So whenever the user tries to log in inside the website, what is the first thing that the user does? Sign up, which means the user registers himself inside the website. Over there, he provides the data. Which kind of data does the user provide?
Mail or number. Like name, email, password.
Exactly. All those data which we have provided inside the user model.js, isn't it? So here I will create a function using the const keyword, and the function name is register. And this one is going to be an async function. And this will take request and response as the parameter. Understood? Why have we passed the request and response as the parameter? Any guesses?
Ma'am, it's an object where we just use request and response for sending and receiving data from our database or sending from our front-end side.
Yeah. So over here, this function takes some request and also provides some kind of response from the server to the user, which is why we are taking request and response as the parameter. So here I'm going to provide the fields that the user have to provide while registering himself. So my fields are username, comma, password, comma, role is equal to. Here the user will provide all these, provide the value to all these variables by, you people might have seen over here. See, you people can see this one is the body, and over here only we provide our data, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So here, what we are actually doing, we are sending a request to the server with the help of the body, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Which is why we will write over here request.body. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
And then we will mention const hashed password. And this variable will contain the hashed password. And we will hash the password by using await bcrypt dot hash. Here I will write password, which will provide the value of the value that is provided by the user to this password variable, which is nothing but the password of the user. And then I will write the value 10. And this 10 is known as the gensor. Understood? And if whenever I will ask you, like, what do we mean by this 10? Then you will tell me, ma'am, this 10 is nothing but the gensor. Or else we can also hash the password by this method. At first, we can write const salt is equal to bcrypt dot gensort method. And here I will write 10. And in the next line, I can also write as const hashed password is equal to await bcrypt dot hash. And inside this, I will pass the password followed by the salt keyword, salt variable. Understood how these things work? We can either hash the password by directly providing the salt value, or else we can use the gensort method, and inside that we can provide the salt value. After that, here inside the hashed password, inside the hash function, we can pass the password as well as the variable which is storing the salt value. Understood? Or are there any doubts with you people?
That's good.
Understood, ma'am.
And why do we actually need this salt? We need in order to hash, like in order to encode our password in such a way so that it encodes in a very strong way. In order to strong the encoding of our password. Understood? The higher the salt value will be, the higher encoding will be our password.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So before storing the password, what we are doing? We are hashing it in order to make it more secure. After hashing the password, we will write const user, which is a variable. And here, since we are creating a new user, which is why we will write new, and this user we are getting from this user model. And here I will write username, comma, password is going to be the hashed password, which means inside the database, it will store the hashed password instead of the normal password that the user has provided. After the password, it will store the role that the user is providing by using the request.body. After that, after assigning these values inside the database, we are finally going to save it by using await user.save. So the save method is used in order to store all the data that is provided by the user by the request.body. And after the successful registration of the user, the server will respond with a status code 201 with a JSON message, and inside this it will provide a message, and the message will say user registered successfully. So this message will be provided to the user if he successfully registers inside the website. Understood till this much, or are there any doubt? All right. So this one was a registration function. Now coming on, what does the user do after registering himself?
Login.
The user does the login part. So here we will again create a login function. Export const login is equal to, this one is again going to be an async function, which will have which parameters?
Request and
Tell
response.
me.
Request and response.
Request and response.
All right. After this, can you tell me what are the main two things that the user provides inside that I need to provide for this request.body
Email and password.
while logging in?
Username and password.
Username and
Okay.
Username and password.
Username and password. So here again, I will write const username, comma, password. After this, what should I write?
we should authenticate.
Ma'am, we have to find users from our MongoDB by using find one method.
So the user is sending the request, right, to the server in the form of his username and password.
Request.body.
Okay. We have to
Request.body.
write request.body. Yeah, the user has now sent the request to the, yeah.
Ma'am, is there any other method to export the register and login functions, ma'am?
Yeah, if we remove this export keyword from the very beginning, in the last you can write export default followed by the name of the functions.
So we have
Understood.
to use deconstructing, right, ma'am?
Can you please repeat?
We have to use deconstruct to pass to export these functions, right, ma'am? So inside
Yeah.
we have to wrap inside the curly braces.
Yeah, yeah. So after this, we have, so by now the user has provided his username and password to the server. And now what is the work of the server? The server will check if the username is already existing inside the database. And using the variable user, we will store await dot who is this?
బాగుంది కానీ బానే ఉంటదా దాంట్లో పెట్టుకుంటే బుక్స్ అంటున్నా.
Shivagna. Can you Shivagna Nadeep? Can you please switch your mic off? All right. So inside this user variable, I will store await user dot. So since I am using the user with capital U, you people might have got the idea that I am going to do something inside the database, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So here
Yes,
I will
ma'am.
write
Yes,
a
ma'am.
function that is find one. And using this find one function, I will search whether the username is existing inside the database already. So here I will pass the username which is provided by the user while logging in. Understood? And here comes if not the user, which means if not user, which directly means that if the username is not present inside the database, then what will happen? It will return a response with status code 404. Okay, hold on. 404 dot with a JSON message. And what is the JSON message that it will provide?
Username not
Found.
User not
name.
found. And here, if the user is found, then what will happen? Then I will create another variable that is match is equal to await decrypt dot compare. Inside this, I will pass two things, that is the password, comma, user dot password. So which directly means that if the username is found inside the Mongoose database, over there, what will the server do? It will compare the passwords. Which password? Those passwords which are already existing inside the database and the password that the user is providing while logging in. This password variable is the variable that is present inside the database, and this user.password is that password which is stored inside this user variable. Understood? While the user is logging in to the website.
Ma'am, this
Any
user
doubts till here?
password needs to be converted, right? To be hashed in order to match a comparison.
Can you please repeat your query?
Ma'am, I'm saying like user password needs also be converted into hashed password in order to compare with the database, right?
See, let me tell you the JSON Web Tokens entire construction. For that, let me open my notepad or let me open the Word file. See what happens. Whenever the password is hashed, then it stores the hashed password. Understood? Like password will store in something like this form. All right. And then when the user logs in, what happens? A JWT token gets generated. And now you will ask me, now what is the JWT token? So the token is made up of three things. Or we can also say the token has three parts. So first one is the header. Second one is the payload. And third part is the signature. So these are the three parts of a JWT token. And now you will ask me, ma'am, why are we having these kind of parts for a simple token? So this happens when the user tries to log in inside the website. Over there, whichever data the user provides gets encoded in the form of a token. And that contains the exact user data that is provided by the user while logging in, which means the user signs the token in a digital form. Is your sign copied from anywhere, or everyone has their own unique sign?
Everyone have unique sign.
Everybody have their own unique sign, right? Which we do manually.
Yes.
So here, in case of the token, a digital signature is done so that it can be ensured that the JWT token is not tampered. And here, what do we mean by the tamper? Tamper means that whenever the user tries to log in, the user's data, which is encoded in the form of a token, the data is not being changed by anyone else. Are you getting the point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. So this is what we exactly do while logging in. So whenever the user will compare the password that is provided by the user and the already existing password, then a token will get generated, and that token will have the particular data of the user, that is the username and password. With the help of that token, those two passwords will be compared. Now, is your doubt clear?
Yes, ma'am, got it.
All right. So after the comparison between the password that is existing inside the database and that password which is provided by the user, we will place a condition. That is if not is match. Then what will happen? If the condition is true, then it will provide a response with status code, that is 400, along with a JSON message. What kind of JSON message it will provide? Tell me. If the password is not, if the password does not match.
User not found.
Invalid password.
Invalid condition.
Wrong password.
Exactly.
Not found.
It will provide the message as invalid credentials, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
After this happens, we are going to generate a token. That is const token is equal to, we will generate this token with the help of a method of JSON web token, that is sign method. Inside this sign method, we are going to pass the ID, and this ID will contain user's ID dot underscore ID, followed by the role is going to be user dot role, which means what? The token which will get generated, that will contain two things, that is the ID of the user and the role of the user. So the second thing that we have to pass inside this is the JWT secret, which we have mentioned inside our config.js. After the JWT.secret, we are also going to provide the expire SYN. And the token will get expired in 1 hour. So did you ever see, like when you are trying to log in into a website, say for example, Instagram only, when you try to permanently remove your account, right?
Yes.
Over there,
Yes, ma'am.
you receive a kind of message when you try to log in again, you get session expired, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So why do you receive that kind of messages? And whenever you try to log in inside the website, after 10 hours, after 2 days, after 3 days, you are not being able to log in. Why? Because the token gets expired.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is why if we want the token to get expired, over there we can use the expires in keyword and we can mention the time of expiration. And if we do not want our token to get expired, that time we have to use the, okay, this one is the comment. We have to use the, which keyword? We have to use the ignore expiration keyword. If you mention the ignore expiration keyword in the place of expire SYN, then you will be able to log in on whichever time you want. You can be able to log in after 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, in whichever time you want. Understood? Because the token will not get expired. Did you people get the point, or are there any doubt?
Yes, ma'am. got it.
Ma'am, it's
Someone was asking something. Can you please repeat it?
ma'am, it's a necessary to means expert time means 1 hour. Do not reduce it. Means
Yeah,
if I
it
am
depends
thinking,
upon you. The time you can provide as per your wish.
ma'am, if I not being means if I not there much time, it's necessary to do it.
In order to provide the expiration time of the token.
Yes, ma'am. If I not
Okay.
expiry token,
See, if you do not want your token to get expired, then you can write ignore expiration over there. At that time, your token will not get expired.
okay.
So, till now, what we have done, we have generated our token using the user ID, user's role, the JWT secret key, and the expiration time. Now, over here, what we are going to do is, here we will respond with a JSON code. Okay. So since we have generated the token, then the token should be provided to the user as well, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So here we will write response.json, and inside the JSON we will provide the token. That's it. So whenever the user will try to log in, he will get the token as the response whenever he will provide the username and password. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
We will save it. And now moving on to the middleware. So inside the middleware, we will import JWT from JSON Web Token. And here again, we will import the JWT secret from the config file. After that, we will again create a function. We will place the export keyword at the very first, and then the name of the function is authenticate. Here, we are going to take 3 parameters. That is the request, response, and next. This next is nothing. And you will get to know why this next function is used inside our code once we use it. So here I will create a variable using const keyword, that is auth header is equal to request dot headers dot authorization. It should be headers authorization. Just a few minutes back, I have told you that the JWT contains 3 things. First one is the header, second one is the payload, and third one is the signature. Yeah. Hello. Does anyone wants to say something?
Ma'am, once you share that again,
All
ma'am.
right.
Header, signature, and ma'am.
Payload. This one. Yeah. Yeah. Header, payload, and signature. These are the 3 parts of a JWT token.
Thank you, ma'am.
So here, inside the auth header, we are storing the header for a JWT token. And then we will place a condition, that is if not auth header or not auth header dot starts with. Here I will write bearer. Now again coming on to the theory part. So suppose our token is something like this one is the token, right? So a token is expected to be bearer followed by this one. Paste. So this is how the token exactly looks like. Like the prefix is going to be bearer. After that, the token is placed. Understood?
Yes,
This is
ma'am.
how a token is made. Token. So by now, as the what does the server will do? The server has to provide the token to the user, isn't it? By removing the bearer prefix. Are you people even being able to understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So what we will do now, we have to provide user with the token only, except the bearer. So what we will do, we will separate the bearer and the token. We will use the split method. What it will do? It will split the bearer keyword with the token. Which means what? The bearer is a separate thing and the token is a separate thing by now. And they are having the space between them, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Hello.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So by now, we only have to provide the token to the user. Now what we will do, we will save this bearer and token inside the array. So the array will have bearer followed by the token. We will store this inside the array. So this one is the index number 0 and this one is the index number 1, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what we will do in order to send the user only the token is that if it does not start with the bearer, then it will respond the user with a status code rest.status and the status code is going to be 401. And then it will provide a JSON message that is unauthorized. And the next time, if the token matches or the token starts with the bearer keyword, then what will happen? It will create a token is equal to auth header dot using the split function. We are going to split the bearer with the token and it will have a space between them, which means what? We are splitting them so that they can have a space between them, right? So by now, the token is being stored in the first index of the array, which is why we are writing the index number as 1 instead of 0. Why? Because inside the 0 index, we are storing the bearer. Is your point clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Here I will place a try catch block. Inside the try block, I will write a variable using the const keyword that is decoded is equal to, here I will write the jwt.verify. A few minutes back, I have told you people that our user data is encoded in order to form a token, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So whenever the server receives the token, so that what the server will do, the server will decode it. And why will it decode it? It will check if the user is providing the particular user data and password in order to match. with the existing database, with the existing data which is present inside the database. In order to verify all those things, the server needs to decode the token, which is why we are using the verify function over here. And inside the verify, we'll pass token as well as JWT secret. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
After this, it will take request.user is equal to decoded. And then next. And this next method is used for nothing, just to pass the control from the try block to the catch block. Inside the catch block, if any error occurs, then it will return with a status code, that is status 403. Along with the status code, it will provide a JSON message. Here I will write message. The message is going to be invalid token. Token. Understood till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. After this, we have created like the authenticate function. And here we are going to create an authorize function.
Ma'am,
So for that, right, export const. Yeah.
ma'am, can you explain the try block again?
See, inside the try block, I have created a decoded variable. And in this variable, I have stored all the data that is being verified. Which data is being verified? The data which is present in the encoded form inside the token. I have told you, right? Our data gets encoded in order to form a token. Right? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
So here the data will get decoded in order to verify if the data present inside the token is valid or not. For that purpose, we are using this verify function.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
And then this this decoded data will be provided by the user. Why it will be provided by the user? That we will get to know inside this authorize function.
okay.
Yeah. Is equal to, here I will use roles. This one is going to be an arrow function. Here I will write return request, comma, response, comma, next. Here I will write if not roles dot include request dot user dot root. Then return with the status code 403 with a JSON message. And the message will say access denied, insufficient room. That's so here we have written request.user is equal to decoded. And previously, what did we do? We were creating a token which includes the role of the user as well, isn't it? Inside the controller, we have written, right? Role is equal to user.role. So here inside the auth middleware, what we are doing, in order to log in inside the website with a particular role, we need to provide the token again. Is my point clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You will get to know it in a much better way when we will test our APIs. Over there, you will get to know why are we making this request.user is equal to decoded and what is the purpose of using this authorized functions. And then again, in order to pass the control flow, I'm going to write the next function. That's it. I will save this. And now I will move to my routes. And inside the routes folder, what do we do? Any guesses? What do we do inside the routes folder?
Require the middleware and express.
I'm not asking about what do we require. What do we do inside the route folder?
Asking it to log in page or
We mentioned the specific endpoints that we have to provide inside the
Register and
URL
log
in
in.
order to access a particular function. So here I'm going to import express from express. After that, I will also import register. Along with the register, I will import login from control. And here I will import authenticate and authorize from the middleware. After importing these things, I will use the routed middleware of the express is equal to express dot router. And using this router middleware, I am going to define the HTTP method. Dot post. Inside the post, I will mention the API endpoint. I will write \register that the user has to provide inside the URL if the user wants to access the register function. Which means if the user wants to register himself in the website, over there he will have to write the register as endpoint. And if the user wants to log in, then the user has to router dot. The user has to use the post HTTP method, and here he has to provide the login as the API endpoint so that the login function will get executed. And here the user will use the get method. And here the API endpoint is going to be \user followed by the authenticate function. So whenever the user will try to log in inside the website by providing his role as the user, then the authenticate function will get executed. Along with that, we will take request and response for an arrow function. And inside this function, it will return the user with a response JSON message. And the message will say, welcome, authenticated user. Someone was calling ma'am. What has happened? Which route is this? Are there any doubt?
Yes, ma'am. I was there.
Yes.
So, ma'am, I have the doubt on that next part. You have defined that next function and you have used in try block. And
Yes.
at the end of try block, you have written that next function. Right, ma'am?
Yeah.
But ma'am, even though if we have not used that next function, if there is an error, eventually catch block should execute without the need of
See,
next line. Right, ma'am?
at times we receive an error due to not mentioning this next function. And we will see what type of error will be received if we do not mention this next function once we are testing the API. So let's move on to our auth routes for JS. Here it will provide, if the API endpoint is user, then it will provide the message welcome authenticated user. And if my API endpoint is admin, router dot get, if the API endpoint is admin, then it will again execute the authenticate function and then authorize. And here I will pass admin as the parameter. And then again, I will pass request and response as the parameter to an arrow function. And inside this arrow function, I will provide a JSON message. And this will say, welcome admin user. We will save it. Now moving on to the server.js. So here I will import express from express. After that, I will also import mongoose from mongoose. And then I will import port. Along with the port, I will also import the Mongo URI. After this, I will also import the auth routes. From here, I will write routes, and then auth routes. Okay. Yeah. Here I will create a variable app and I will store express inside this variable. And then I will write app.use. Which middleware should I use? I have told you people to be responsive inside the class. And here I will again write app.use. And here I am going to provide the universal endpoint, that is /API. And then here I will write auth routes. And then I will write mongoose dot connect Mongo URI is going to be my first parameter. Here I will write dot, then if the Mongo's database gets successfully connected to my Node.js, then it will print app dot listen. Here it will take the port, comma, and this function will provide console dot log server is running on port, and here using the template inputs, I will provide the port number and I'll write and connected to MongoDB. This will be the message if it successfully connects the Node.js with the MongoDB. And if any error occurs, then we will handle it using the catch. Here it will provide error console dot error, and this will print the error. I will save it again and I will run it using mode on server.js. Okay, I have to go to my file where I stored it. For that, I have to write cd backend. Here I will write node 1 server.js. Okay. All right, here I have to write config.js. Save it again. Okay, set the auth routes.
Line number 4.
Again, I have to write auth. Yeah. It should be .js. Here also it should be .js.
Ma'am, in server.js, there is also error in line number 4. You have to write .js extension.
Okay, it should be .js. Where else is the config?
In auth middle LLV error.
.js. It will also be .js. Save it again. What middleman?
After barrier, we have not giving the curly bracket.
Hold on. Import auth routes from what? Okay. If we remove export from here. Here as well. Here I will write export default. Here I will write the name authorize, comma, and authenticate. Okay, so we will decode this error in the next class and we will test the APIs as well since it's already 9 o'clock. So are there any doubts with you people inside this code till now?
No, ma'am, no,
Ma'am,
no,
from
ma'am.
where did we get this code?
Why you should add the .js?
Because while we are using the type as module over there, it is mandatory for us in order to provide the .js extension. But when we are using the common JS file, over there we cannot, like over there it depends upon us. If we want to write the extension, then also it will run. And if we do not provide the extension, then also it will run.
Okay.
All right. Bye bye, all of you.
Ma'am, hello.
Yeah, I'm done.
Ma'am, from where did we get this source code?
This the code for this class.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I will send it to you. Send it to the support team, and they will provide it too.
Okay, ma'am.
Bye bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.